Thank you, everyone. I feel so honored to be able to address the class of 2020 before we enter into finals and embark on our next academic journey together. Unlike Mr. V from yesterday, I do not have any props like a Superman cape to make this speech more exciting. And also, unlike his speech from yesterday, I'm not sending anyone off. I'm not going to give you any final words because the purpose of this speech is to prepare us all for what lies ahead and how we can go through it together. Regardless of your position at Judge Memorial, whether you are a junior, a sophomore, a freshman, a teacher, an administrator, or anyone else that makes up the community of our school, this speech is for you. There are some things in life that we have to do simply because we are living. We have to eat. We have to sleep. We have to go to school. We have to eventually have a job in order to have some form of income. We're not given any choice in these matters. They're thrusted upon us. It can be frustrating to have to deal with these basic necessities for survival because they are stressful. And it's even more frustrating that we can do absolutely nothing about it. It's a requirement for being a human. I'm sorry to tell you this, but I'm going to point out one more thing in life that we are forced to do. And some of you may not like hearing this. In one way or another, we are all forced to be leaders. Our leadership positions can come in many forms, but we all are demanded to perform the tasks of leading someone else. But this is high school, and many of us may not feel adequate enough for that responsibility. It's very apparent that some people are just more capable of being leaders than others. Some are better off if they just take a step back and allow others to shine. And you may not realize this, but many of the adults that surround you every day feel the exact same way. This is wrong. This mentality is an excuse that allows us to avoid our responsibilities for each other. It makes it easy for us to say, that's okay, someone else will do it for us. I've held this opinion about myself throughout my life. Many times I have felt inadequate. I have felt like I was incapable of doing something that someone else could do so easily. And this opinion about myself comes and goes. I very often question whether or not I am adequate enough to do what it is that I am doing. But there are times, every once in a while, where I think if I just go for it, if I just take a leap of faith, if I show just the slightest bit of courage, I just might be able to make something of myself in service for those around me. Those spurts of courage I have stem all the way back to when I was in the 3rd grade. I had a very strict, very mean nun as a teacher. Her name was Sister Carmen, may she rest in peace. As hard as it may be to believe, I was a little devil child to her that year. I constantly got in trouble, and she was not the kind of teacher to let things slide. But as time goes on, I constantly go back to something she said in class one day in passing. I can't recall what we were talking about, and there's a good chance that she mentioned it while admonishing me or my group of friends. But she said this: "You won a race to be where you are sitting today." How could it be that an inadequate 3rd grade punk like me beat the odds that were against me even existing in the first place, let alone finding any success in my life? Think for yourself. What are the odds that you are sitting where you are today, attending one of the best schools in one of the most developed and advanced societies in human history, with so many opportunities for your future? I promise you those odds are infinitesimally small. If you think you are inadequate or that there are other people more capable than you, look at where you sit today. I was having a conversation with Mr. Steffensmeyer once, and we were talking about leadership. What makes a leader? It's not necessarily being involved in leadership positions in clubs, sports, or activities. Mr. Steffensmeyer said something that I think we all need to take to heart. A leader is someone you look to and say, I want to be like them. We all have to be leaders. There's no way around it. But even though we are forced to eat, we always want the most delicious, healthiest meals for ourselves. Even though we're forced to sleep, we want the most comfortable mattresses and pillows. Even though we're forced to go to school, we want to go to the best schools out there, and Judge is the best school out there. So if we are forced to be leaders, why not choose to be the best leaders we can be? For those of you who have sat in the audience while others have received awards, for those of you who sat on the bench while others played the full game, For those of you who sit silently in class while the teachers focus on the most engaged and brilliant students. For those of you who have never heard your name on the announcements for an achievement, the following message is for you. If I could say one thing to each of my classes every day, it would be, sit down and shut up. A leader is not the loudest voice. A leader is not the most accomplished individual. A leader is someone whose actions speak louder than their words. A leader knows when to sit down and to shut up. You don't need a loud voice. The best leader is a silent leader. But don't take it from me. When the prophet Elijah is about to speak with God, he hears a mighty wind, but the Lord was not in the wind. Then there is a booming earthquake, but the Lord is not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, there's a large fire, but the Lord is not in the fire. And after the fire, a still, small voice. That was God. You don't need to be the loudest personality in the room to make changes. You simply need to do your best with what was given to you. Come August, there will be a group of new members to the Judge community. Today's freshmen, it is your responsibility as leaders to befriend them, introduce them to the Judge way. Today's sophomores, it is your responsibility as leaders to make sure that the freshmen remember their place as underclassmen. Just don't be too mean about it. Today's juniors, it is your responsibility to silently, yet boldly, make the choices that you needed your role models to make when you were freshmen. You are our new leaders, each and every single one of you. Do not get lazy. Do not forget your responsibilities. In class of 2020, please help lead us all as we discover and learn what God has planned for us in our upcoming school year. Thank you so much.